A life blessed by God would be born. An oracle was sent the day the twins of the breloff family were born. The younger one, Noxia, as if she was proving the oracle true, grew up into a respected lady with radiant, silver hair and a noble smile. She manifested her ability when she was a child, so she could wield control over water with ease. Everyone called Noxia the God's loved one. However, the older sister among the twins, then Asia breloff, her black hair looked like it was drenched with filthy water. People were whispering, "Look at her dull face too. I don't think I've ever seen her smile. What's more, her sister possesses an ability, but I've heard she still doesn't have one. They're twins, but how come they're so different? One is so perfect, as if she's blessed by all the gods. But the other one..." She thought, "I didn't think I'd hear such things, even at the Crown Prince's birthday party." At this moment, everyone was mocking Asia, the younger sister who had everything, and the older sister who had nothing. Their situation was an amusing source of gossip among the nobles. If Asia couldn't stand their whispers and left, the rest of them would mock her even more by bursting into laughter. She said, "Kva." Asia said, "Ah, my mistake. However, today will be different. You there, you were talking about me, weren't you? I didn't hear you well, so would you mind repeating what you said?" Noxia said. "I wonder? What did I say again? You said one seemed to be blessed by all the gods, but what about the other?" Asia said, "Wasn't that about me?" Noxia thought, "I simply said that, since I look forward to your future." Asia said, "I don't remember allowing you to meddle. So can you quit with your wicked babble?" Noxia said, "What did you say?" Asia said, "Listen to what I'm about to say. If anyone dares to talk behind my back, whoever it is, I'll rip their mouth off." Noxia said, "I have absolutely no intention of being pushed around easily. At first, I didn't know that this was the world of a book. The last thing I remember from my past life is that I quit the job I was so sick of and left to travel. Then, the plane to my destination exploded a few moments after takeoff. I had certainly died. Servants said, 'My lady, please open your eyes.' Lady Asia. She thought Thana, Sia. But when I opened my eyes, I had transmigrated into the body of someone from another world. You fell from a galloping horse, so this much is a miracle. I've transmigrated, but my name is Asia, my younger sister is Noxia, and my family name is breloff?" I suddenly recalled a memory. The Loved Saintess. This novel was incredibly popular. It was the story of two completely opposite twin sisters. The younger sister, Noxia, who was loved by all, and the older one with no remarkable qualities, Asia, who was always compared to her. Asia had always lived in a withdrawn manner, and as time passed, she started desiring Noxia's possessions. People thought, "Why did God give everything to Noxia alone? Why do I have nothing? If only I had been born as Noxia, if I was Noxia, that's right. Asia was the villainess and the loved saintess." She thought, "So, I've become that Asia, right? I wonder if it's because I read a lot of fantasy novels, but this isn't too shocking. More than anything, it means I became a noble, doesn't it? I accepted this reality quite fast. I've already died, so I can't go back to how I was before. I actually don't care anyway. I had no family, and my life was only about enduring day after day. Not to mention, my situation here isn't that bad. No matter what I wear, it suits me." The Asia in the novel who compared herself to Noxia constantly went through hell. "I think I'm slightly pretty? But I'm not the same. I didn't envy Noxia's beauty, personality, or ability. I'm already young, rich, and pretty. I should wholeheartedly have a lavish lifestyle, which I couldn't have done in my past life. However, my days of happiness didn't last long. Should I plan a trip?" The maids were talking. "Don't you think Lady Thanasia's become a bit strange?" "Right. After that horse riding incident, she's drastically..." "Oh right, did you hear the news?" "Huh! The one about people who keep going missing." They say it's for some experiments to make human weapons. Are you talking about the Kalua Empire? Are you alright, my lady? I'm fine. Then Asia said, rather, repeat what you just said. The Kalua Empire, and what else? The maid asked. There's a rumor going around in society. Apparently, the Kalua Empire is conducting experiments to make human weapons. I heard there are more people who went missing this year compared to last year. And they say they were all taken by the Kalua Empire. But these are all just rumors. Don't worry too much, my lady. She thought, my goodness. Only now had I been reminded of that part of the story. The Arwen Empire, where the loved saintess takes place, will start a war with the Kalua Empire. The issue is that after that war is lost, then Asia will die. And the one who kills her is the final villain of the novel, Askin. As he was the only survivor of the human weapon experiments, he becomes the strongest being in the world, and a monster at the same time. She thought, let's stay calm. I still have time. Askin once escaped the experimental lab at the age of 15. Because of his ragged clothes, he was mistaken as a slave, and was sold to the Arwen Empire. This is it. So there was a line like that. Since then Asia and Askin are the same age, if he was 15, then it would happen this year. Then Asia said, where's the slave marketplace in the capital? I have to go there immediately. The maid replied, what? The slave marketplace? Why, all of a sudden? Then Asia said, I have no time to waste. Quickly prepare the carriage and... A man said, excuse me, master. Then Asia looked at him questioningly and said, come in. The man said, I've fetched water for the bath, as per your orders. Then Asia looked at him in wonder. Coal black hair. Deep golden eyes. Tattoos of ancient language around the neck. She thought, no way. She asked, what's your name? The man looked at her curiously and said, it's Askin. Then Asia looked at him in shock and thought, hold on. Why is Askin at our residence? Nothing of the sort happened in the original novel. While Askin's escape from the laboratory was mentioned in The Loved Saintess, it was never stated that he was a slave for the breloff family. However, as The Loved Saintess wasn't a completed novel, it could have simply been a part of the setting that hadn't been mentioned yet. Then Asia thought, since I was thinking of searching for Askin anyway, I guess I'm lucky that he appeared right in front of me. She said, Master? Askin said, if there's nothing left for me to do, may I go and attend to other matters? Then Asia, attracted to him, replied yes. Then Asia thought, what was that? Why was he in such a hurry to leave? The maid asked, my lady, are you really letting him off that easily? Then Asia said, what do you mean? The maid replied, it's nothing. The maid asked, it felt like you let him go earlier than usual, so I just... Then Asia thought, earlier than usual? Did she do something prior to my transmigration? Then Asia said, what did I used to do again? My recent memories become somewhat hazy after the accident. I won't get angry at you, so just tell me truthfully. That way, you can help me remember things again. The maid replied, the thing is, you've disliked Askin since the very beginning. For example, you said that you hated seeing Askin's black hair. You made him carry your bath water inside even though the tap worked just fine. And when you were in a bad mood, you'd bring out your whip and punish Askin. She stopped for a second, thinking, I just raised my very own death flag. With that grudge Askin has against me, it's no wonder he killed me. Hold on. Don't tell me, am I the one who sent Askin back to the Kalua Empire? In the novel, Askin escaped the experimental lab in Kalua and crossed over to the Arwen Empire. But for some unknown reason, he was captured and brought back to the lab. I think the reason for this came up briefly, but I can't remember it clearly. On top of everything, if I really am the one behind all this, I basically signed my death warrant. The maid asked, by the way, should I schedule your visit to the slave market tomorrow? Then Asia said no, that plan is cancelled. Then Asia thought, I can't give up on this life. I have to find a way to live. That night, I had a dream for the first time after awakening inside this novel. It was a dream about me finding Askin in the slave market. I had instantly recognized the ancient language engraved on his neck, along with the countless magic formulas on his body. They were the tattoos he acquired during the experiment, to make him a living human weapon. Then Asia thought, to give a normal human special abilities. That means I can have a special ability like Noxia, the ability to control water. It had always been an ability that I could never even dream of having, but if I managed to understand the meaning of the ancient runes and the magic formulas on Askin's body, even I could gain the ability to control water. That's how I started doing my own experiments using Askin. Since my actions would go against the law, I took measures to keep everything completely hidden. And the first thing I did was figuring out what Askin's abilities were. Then Asia said to Askin, "It's no use pretending to be powerless. All those formulas on your body make it obvious. You aren't a normal human anymore. Come on, show me all of your secret abilities. I see, you're not going to say anything until the very end, is that it?" Then Asia whipped Askin vigorously and stared at him, forcing out his pain. Then Asia said, "What the? So this was it? The ability to turn your entire body into steel? With this, you wouldn't die even if you had to face dozens, no, hundreds of enemies. Because you wouldn't even get the slightest of wounds. Now, shall we test how long you can last in that state?" Askin looked at her with wonder. She thought, stop. I want to wake up from this dream. Stop. Please just stop. That wasn't simply just a dream. They're my memories from before I transmigrated. I didn't just torment Askin, I used him as an experimental object like the Kahlua Empire did. From what I've seen so far, it's not unlikely that I sold Askin to the Kahlua Empire after I found out where those abilities came from. If I leave things as they are now, Askin will definitely try to get his revenge on me. I have to resolve his resentment no matter what. Then Asia said, "Askin." Askin looked at her questioningly and asked, "What made you come all the way here? Is there something you want me to do?" Then Asia thought, I didn't notice it before, but Askin's wary of me. Yeah. It's not surprising, considering how I treated him. But things will change from now on. Then Asia said, "Well, it's nothing special. I'm thinking of relocating you to the mansion. To a nicer room than this small, dark one." Askin said, "Relocate? I don't think I understand what you're saying." Then Asia said, "I'm saying that you don't have to worry about anything from now on. The Loved Saintess is not a completed novel. That's why I'm going to change it, Askin." Then Asia said, "Starting from today, you'll be my personal servant." She thought, I'll definitely create a happy ending for myself. She thinks seems like he's bad at concealing his emotions. Wait, maybe he doesn't hide them on purpose. But it's understandable, considering that he now has to stick closely to the master who tortured him cruelly. However, he can't refuse my order. Thansia said, "Grab your things. You're moving out now." Asian replied, "Yes, master." Thansia thinks, "Hang in there, Askin. I'll make up for all the things Thansia did to you before my transmigration. I'll treat you so well that you'll let go of any resentment you had towards me." Asian said, "I'm ready to go, master." Thansia said, "Huh? Already? Is that all you've got?" Asian said, "Yes." Thansia said, "Don't tell me you survived through winter with those clothes alone." Asian replied, "Yes, I did." Askin said, "This won't do. Let's get you some new clothes. Call in the tailor." Maid asked, "Yes, my lady." Asian said, "You don't have to do this, master." Thansia said, "No, I can't have my servant walking around in rags." Askin said, "And don't call me master. From now on, address me as my lady, got it?" "Now." Thansia said, "From today onwards, Askin will be my personal servant. You'll be working closely with him, so get along well." Servants replied, "Yes, my lady." "Please have a look at the sample outfits." Askin changed the dress and Thansia and the maids saw him. "Wonderful." Maid asked, "What do you think, my lady?" Thansia said, "What do you think, my lady? Please send the rest of the clothes to my room." "You're hungry, right, Askin? Here. Eat as much as you want." Askin saw all things uncomfortably. Thansia said, is he having trouble with the knife? She asked, cut it for him. Askin replied, yes, my lady. Thansia said, eat the sliced meat for now, Askin. Askin said, ah, yes. Make sure to practice using the knife when you have time. You should be able to use it without any trouble if you're going to continue to have dinners with me. Askin said, yes, my lady. Thansia said, shall we go on a walk after dinner to get some fresh air? Askin said, yes, my lady. Thansia thinks, what's with these dry responses? He's only saying yes this, yes that. I thought that he would be happy to experience luxurious things for the first time, but he doesn't seem happy at all. It's like he's not feeling anything at all. I hope he'll open up a bit on our walk. It should be somewhere around here. Thansia said, ah, here it is. Let's sit down there. This is perfect. Thansia said, come and sit, you can see the stars really well from here. Go on, look up at the sky. And? Do you like it? Askin said, have you changed tactics now? She saw him questioningly. She asked, what? Didn't you tell me that you want to steal Lady Noxia's ability? And if that doesn't work, you want me to kill her? No matter how much you try, I won't do it. She thinks what? My God. When did I say that? Just what have I been doing up till now? There's something I should have told him before treating him well all of a sudden. She asked, I'm sorry, Askin. Thansia said, you've gone through hardships because of me, haven't you? Askin said, I apologize for everything I've said or done to you. Thansia said, to be honest, I don't remember anything that happened before the horse riding accident, and my hatred towards Noxia has also disappeared. I don't care about abilities anymore, so please forget my inappropriate plea. I won't torment you anymore. Askin asked, I promise? She asked, you promise? Askin said, just continue to treat me as usual. This kind of treatment is annoying and makes me uncomfortable. Thansia thinks Askin's resentment is deeper than I thought. Is there another way to survive? I guess running away to a faraway place works. No, there's no way that Alland, the head of the breloff family, would stay still. And it won't be easy for a 15-year-old girl to travel around safely. Just what do I have to do to change my fate? Mathella said, Lady Thansia, please solve the questions that I've been explaining for the last hour. Mathella, breloff family's tutor. Thansia said, ah, yes. She thinks, damn it, I wasn't paying attention to the class at all because I was thinking about more important matters. Let's see. Anastasia said, what's this? That question is easier than I thought. Thansia replied the answer, 15 feet 13 inches. Mathella said, my lady, did you just solve this equation in your head? Thansia said, I did solve it in my head, but I approached the question differently. If you use this method, it's much easier to solve this problem, she thinks. Why do I know these things? Oh my. Mathella said, I was aware that you were very bright, but this is beyond my expectations. Thansia said, is that so? Mathella said, I never managed to convince you since you're quite strong-willed, my lady. But I can't let this opportunity pass this time. What? What are you talking about? Mathella said, here, take a look. Are there any questions here that you can't solve? Thansia said, no, I can solve all of them. Mathella said, these are textbooks on advanced magic formulas. You've never been taught any of this. Do you understand what I am getting at? Lady Thansia, you have an innate talent for magic formulas. So stop wasting your time trying to learn spirit magic. Thansia said, now that I think about it, it seemed so natural to me that I never questioned it. I recognized the tattoos on Askin's body as engraved magic formulas. The reason the original Thansia found out about the human weapon experiments was probably also because she could read all of the formulas, but Thansia never developed her true talent. Instead, she tried to copy Noxia and studied fields that weren't for her. That's it. If I put my talent to good use, Mathella said, you could become the best scholar in the Arwen Empire, no, on the whole continent. Thansia said, what? Scholar. Mathella said, of course, that's only possible if you don't hide or suppress your talent. I'm sure that the family head will be happy for you, and fully support you once we tell him. Thansia said, all right. Mathella said, you can tell father about me. I want to see him be happy too. She thinks there's no reason for me to make the same choices as the original thansia did. This might even be another way to change my fate. Thansia said, now that I know there's another way, I'm getting my hopes up again. Yeah, that's right. It wouldn't be fair to leave my fate in Askin's hands like that. There are just too many variables. At the very least, I need to have the ability to protect myself. Askin said, oh no. Watch out. She thinks that voice just now, Noxia said, S sister, Noxia, Thansia's younger sister, and the female lead of the novel. Askin said, my lady, are you alright? Thansia said, why yeah, thanks. What about you? You got wet too. Askin replied, I'm fine. Noxia said, I'm so sorry, Thansia. It might sound like an excuse, but I didn't do it on purpose. Thansia said, it's alright. Thansia said, I didn't get hurt or anything. I remember reading this scene in the novel. Thansia said the servants were begging Noxia to show them her ability, and Noxia ended up making a mistake since she lacked control over her power. That's why Noxia asked. It was a simple accident, so don't worry about it. Noxia said, alright. Thansia said, however, it's not a good idea to practice out here. Thansia said guests could be passing by here on their visits, and we can't have them getting drenched in water. Noxia said, you're right. I didn't think that far ahead. Maid said, Lady Thansia, it isn't Lady Noxia's fault. Another maid said, that's right. We asked her to show us her ability, and Thansia said, so you're aware of your mistake, right? Noxia said, why yes. Thansia said, from now on, don't beg our soft-hearted Noxia to use her ability all the time. Noxia said, what? Thansia said, did you not listen to me? Should I repeat myself? Maids replied, and no need. We'll keep that in mind. Noxia said, thanks. Thansia said, for what? For what? Noxia said, for accepting my apology, and being considerate of me. Thansia said, it's nothing, really. She asked, you don't have to thank me for such a small. Thansia said, anyway, I should get going first, Noxia. Noxia said, sure. Noxia said, what was that? I feel like her expression darkened for a moment. Did I make a mistake again? Thansia said, Askin. Askin asked, yes? Thansia said, take that shirt off for a moment. Thansia thinks those wounds, did I do that to him? I should treat them with an ointment so they don't scar. Here it is, this should do the job. Thansia said, Askin, what are you doing right now? Askin said, you told me to take off my shirt. Thansia said, why yes. But why are you kneeling on the floor? She thinks right, in the dream, I whipped Askin on his bare skin to test his ability to turn his skin into steel. Askin must have misunderstood my order to take off his shirt. Askin said, what are you doing right now? Can't you see? I'm putting ointment on your wounds. Thansia said, stay still and don't move. It's an ointment to prevent scarring, so it shouldn't hurt too much. What I'm doing right now could be completely useless, but I still can't turn away from this child's wounds. So, being nice to Askin is just a small insurance for the unpredictable future, and a simple act out of sympathy. I thought about how I could prevent my death once again. Thansia thinks, would it be possible to stop a war from happening with my talent? A lot of things would change if the war between the Kahlua Empire and the Arwen Empire never broke out in the first place. Firstly, the breloff family wouldn't go down, and they'd have the necessary resources to protect me. Also, as the general of the Kahlua Empire, Askin would never have to kill me. On top of that, if I manage to protect Askin so that he doesn't get dragged back to the laboratory, then the human weapon experiments might never succeed. Askin was a key figure in the successful completion of the experiments, after all. Thansia thinks the question now is how I can use my skills to prevent the war. As of now, I can't think of a good answer to that question. Maid asked, my lady. Why are you sleeping here? Are you all right? Thansia thinks I must have fallen asleep last night thinking about my dilemma. Thansia said, oh, I just dozed off for a second. But did something happen? Maid asked, the family head invited you to have dinner with him today. Let me help you get ready for dinner. Thansia said, the family head did what? Thansia thinks if it's the family head, then it's Allen Breloff, my father? Why did he invite me to dinner all of a sudden? Thansia thinks it's my first time meeting father after transmigrating. I'm a bit nervous. Alan Breloff raised his family into fame and wealth with his good business sense, brilliant mind, and cold personality. But contrary to that cold-hearted image of his, he showered his daughters with endless love. Thansia thinks it'll be fine. Let's try to act as natural as possible. Alan said, come on in, Thansia. Thansia thinks, what the? Why is father so young? Ah. Right, according to the setting, father married my deceased mother at an early age. Thansia said, sorry to make you wait. She thinks, stay calm. I was told that you were busy today. Alan said, that's right, but I wanted to give you a present, so I rescheduled all my plans. Thansia said, a present? This is... Alan said, I heard from Matella. You found your talent in the magic formula field in your latest class, didn't you? I hope you liked my present to celebrate that matter. Also, make sure to think well about your future from now on. I'll try to support you as much as I can. Thansia said, this is such an unexpected gift, thank you. Thansia thinks he rescheduled his appointments to give me a present? He could have just had it delivered to my room though. Askin thinks he loves his daughters way more than I thought. Noxia said, congratulations, sis. The jewels are so pretty. They will suit you well. I just remembered that the Crown Prince will hold a ball for his birthday soon. You should wear the necklace to that ball. She thinks, hold on, the Crown Prince's birthday ball? That ball is the very first time Noxia and the male lead meet. And said male lead is the Crown Prince, Rohel defriends Arwen. With the ball as their first meeting, the two start to develop romantic feelings for each other, and fall in love when they become adults. Of course, as the cliché Villainess, Thansia tries everything to split them apart. But I wonder what will happen if I cheer for their love instead. I guess it could improve my chances of survival. It should be better than trying to drive them apart. Thansia said, Noxia, this necklace, should I lend it to you? Thansia said, huh? Noxia said, when I said that it would look good on you, I didn't mean that I wanted to wear it. Thansia said, I know, I just thought that it'd be nice if you wore this to the ball. Noxia said, I appreciate your thoughts, but how could I? Thansia said, you can just accept my offer. I'm sure it'll suit you well. Noxia said, do you want me to pick out a matching dress as well? Thansia thinks I don't want to get too much attention at the ball. I'd rather make Noxia stand out more to ensure a successful first meeting with Rohel. Noxia said, would you really do that for me? Thansia said, of course, as long as you want me to. Noxia said, wow. I'm so excited. Alan said, seems like you two are closer than I thought. Thansia, you don't have to give everything to Noxia. Thansia said, what? Alan said, prepare the same necklace again. She thinks, what kind of development is this? Noxia asked, when should we go pick out the dress? Thansia said, whenever you want to. Alan said, no, let's continue to talk. Askin thinks, what am I even thinking? While eating. Alright. She thinks, Askin, did you think that you could escape from us? Dead or alive, escape from the Kalua Empire. You can never. Ever since I escaped from the experimental lab, I haven't slept well, because they've been chasing me in my dreams. When Lady Thansia changes back into her usual self, I'll have to return to my original position as well. Askin thinks that's why I can't get my hopes up. Never. Ever since my ability got exposed, I've been looking for a chance to leave the Breloff family. It's difficult for the bounty hunters sent by the Kalua Empire to infiltrate the mansion of an Arwen noble family like the Breloffs. I've only stayed here for so long because I thought I was safe from them. Askin thinks once I've found a safe place to stay and have gathered the necessary funds, I'll run away from here as soon as I get the chance. I just have to endure it till that time comes. Man said, oh my, look at you. You seem to be in a good mood now that you've been promoted to a servant. I guess you won't even greet us from now on. Askin thinks they're the people I previously shared a room with. Man asked this arrogant bastard. Man asked, what if he snitches on us? Man asked, let him try. I'll cut his skull open if he does. Askin asked, next time you throw something at me, please make sure to warn me. My clothes got dirty because of you. One man asked, what did you say? This bastard, you think you're noble just because you're wearing some fancy clothes? Askin asked. I guess you're putting too much trust in that handsome face of yours, but it won't save you for long. You'll be abandoned soon enough. Man asked. Stop it. He was a weird guy to begin with. You're a bomb walking around on 2 legs. If you ever get overwhelmed by your emotions, you might end up destroying everything around you. Taking a single life is easy with the abilities I have. The only problem is, I can't control these powers. If I start using them, they'll only calm down once everything in front of me turns to dust. Askin thinks I usually don't get angry over such trivial matters. It's just that, Thansia said. Who said I'll abandon Askin? Askin and the 2 men looked at her in surprise. Askin asked. My lady? Thansia said. There was a change of plans, so I came to find you. But I didn't expect to witness something this interesting. The men bowed and said, Master. We were just… I'm sorry. You should hurry and apologize too. I'm sorry, Thansia said. You should apologize to Askin first. He got hurt by that thing you threw after all. Man asked. Sorry? I wasn't trying to hurt you on purpose. I was so angry that I couldn't control myself. Askin said. It's fine. Thansia said. Let me give you a small warning. I don't have a nice personality. Lay hands on someone who's mine once more, and that'll be the end of you. Do you understand? The men replied. Yes, Master. Thansia said. Get out of my sight before I change my mind. Both men said thank you. Thansia said. Is your wound okay? Askin asked. Yes, it's nothing serious. Thansia said. What do you mean it's nothing? Didn't you hear what I just said? You're my servant, someone who's mine. So don't get hurt without my permission. That's an order. Askin asked. Yes, my lady. Thansia said. We don't have much time, so let's treat your wound quickly. Noxia is waiting for us. Askin asked. Where are we going? Thansia said. We're planning to go pick out our dresses for the royal ball. Askin said. Then you can go without me. I'll treat my wound myself. Thansia said. What do you mean? You're going to attend the ball too, so you'll need an outfit. Askin said. What? Thansia replied. I'm going, as well? This outfit suits him so well, let's go with this accessory. Noxia said. Sis, your servant looks great in anything. Thansia said. Told you it was a worthy investment. I think you also have a great sense of style. I loved the dress you picked out for me earlier. She said. That's a relief. We'll go with the tailcoat he's wearing right now. Thansia said. Askin, you can change back into your old clothes. Askin replied. All right. Thansia thinks is my dress the only thing that's left. Shopping is fun, but it's quite exhausting. Maid said. My lady, I've prepared some dresses in the style you usually prefer to wear. Thansia said. Huh? These would suit Noxia way better than me. Well, the original Thansia did have a tendency to copy Noxia. Thansia said. My tastes have changed, so I won't be wearing these style of dresses anymore. Instead, I'll take that one. Maid replied. Ah. It's indeed different from your usual style, but I'm sure it'll suit you well. Do you want to try it on? Thansia said. No, it's fine. Just prepare that one for the ball. Noxia said. You helped me and your servant so much to pick out the right outfit, but you won't even try on yours? Thansia said. I know that it'll suit me without trying it on. Not to mention, I'm too exhausted anyway. Noxia said. I'll bring you some tea while you wait for everything to be prepared. She said. I'd like to have cold black tea. Me too. Maid brought the tray of tea. Here's your cold black tea. Thansia asked. Thank you? She thinks. Why is she so nervous? The cup of tea fell to the ground. Maid said. Oh no. Noxia said. Oh no. Get something to clean up this mess. Are you okay? She thinks that surprised me. Thansia thinks the bottom of the dress is completely soaked. Askin cleaned Thansia's clothes. Askin asked. My lady, did you get hurt anywhere? Thansia said. No. Askin said. I couldn't do anything about the color, but it should feel drier now. Thansia thinks. Well, that was a quick reaction. It's normal for servants to do these things for you, but it still feels strange. Maybe it's because I've only seen Askin look at me with wariness. For him to act like a real servant, somehow, she said. How cute. Thansia moved his hand and thought. Oh, my hand moved on its own. She said. Thanks. You can stand up now. She thought to think that it's cute to see Askin working diligently. Since when did I find such things cute? Maids replied, I'm sorry. One maid asked, I don't know how to make up for this mistake. It's my fault. I should have educated my employees better. Thansia said, do you think I'll be satisfied with just an apology? Maid replied, no, of course we will compensate you accordingly. Is there something you want from us? Thansia said, first of all, you should cover the laundry fee of my dress and my servant's clothes. If the stain doesn't wash off, you'll have to send me a new dress. Maid asked, of course. Will you also punish her like you did last time? Thansia looked at her questioningly and said, punish? Maid asked, previously, you personally whipped the employee for her mistake. Could you generously overlook it this time? Thansia thought, what? That explains why the employee was shaking so much. It's only natural for her to be nervous and scared of me. I can't say that I have a good personality, but I'm nothing compared to the original Thansia. She thought to think that she even whipped the staff of a dress salon. I wonder what Askin's thinking right now. Not to mention Noxia, who's silently awaiting my decision. Both of them are acting as if they're familiar with this situation. However, Maid asked, I understand that it's our mistake and that we deserve any kind of punishment. Thansia said, that's enough. You don't have to explain yourself. I won't punish anybody. Does the employee I punished the last time still work here? Maid asked, and no. I made sure that she can't even come close to this salon, so you don't have to worry. Thansia said, there's no need to go that far. If you want her back, she can work here. And the monetary compensation for the dress, send it to her as consolation. Maid asked, what? There are things I must do as someone in Thansia's body. I have to right her wrongs. Maid replied, thank you, my lady. Please visit us again next time. Maid shouted, we survived. Maid replied, are you all right? Maid said, here's the receipt. Askin replied, thank you. Thansia said, but did something happen to her? Why'd she forgive me so easily? Maid asked, how should I know? That's just a typical noble's temper. I guess she's in a good mood today. Another maid replied, you're probably right. Maid said, I don't know what caused the young breloff lady to change, but I have a feeling that the rumors about her will completely change sooner or later. Noxia said, Neen? Aren't you getting off the carriage? Thansia said, I want to collect my thoughts. I'll be back after a short ride. Noxia said, all right. Thank you for today. Thansia thought that much should be enough as a consolation fee, right? If I send her too much, people might start spreading weird rumors. Thansia's evil acts also happened off-scene. There's a lot I'm unaware of. What else did I do? If I don't find a way to protect myself, then, Thansia said, should I have let you out with Noxia? There was just something I needed to think about on my own. Is there something you want to tell me? Askin said, I told you before, didn't I? I don't know why you're acting like this, but it's just annoying and uncomfortable. Askin said, just tell me what you want. Thansia said, what? She thought, what did I do now? Wait, don't tell me. How cute. Thansia said, is this about me patting you on the head? Thansia thought he never complained when I whipped him in my dream, but he's making such a fuss over a single compliment. Now that I think about it, he had the same reaction when I showed him the night sky full of stars. I thought he just found my sudden change of behavior annoying, but it seems like that wasn't all. Thansia said, Askin. Was this your first time being called cute and seeing the stars? Askin said, is that of any importance? She thought he's not denying it. This is quite adorable. Since Askin always seemed so mature, I had forgotten something. The fact that the incredibly strong villain in the novel was just a boy. Thansia said, of course it's important. If it was your first time, then I want to show and say many more things to you. Maid said, then I want to show and say many more things to you. Another maid said, did everything go well? Noxia replied, Maid asked, I guess it's obvious that Lady Thansia just made fun of you instead of picking out a nice dress. She probably suggested the ugliest dress in that salon. Noxia said, don't say that. She helped me pick out a dress I really like. All of the dresses she suggested were so beautiful that I had a hard time choosing. Maid asked, you're too kind, my lady. Maid asked, right now, you should protect yourself from Lady Thansia's tricks. There's talk about her planning to ruin your dress on the day of the ball. Noxia said what? Noxia thought the maids might be right. I've fallen for her fake kindness before. However, Noxia said, it's different this time. Thansia said when she got drenched in water, when she received the present from father, and also today, when she picked out the dresses, it's the first time she's treated me this kindly after my abilities manifested. We might be able to get close again. So, Noxia said thanks for worrying about me, but you don't have to tell me these things. I truly believe that my sister has changed. Maid replied yes, my lady. If you say so, Maid said please excuse us. Noxia said I made the right decision, right? Noxia said she would pat my head and tell me I did good. Maid asked if that lady over there was Breloff's eldest daughter. She said you can't compare her to her younger sister in terms of looks and abilities. She couldn't believe they were twins. Thansia said all the good genes went to the younger sister. The maid asked if she just got the leftovers, then quickly apologized. Thansia asked if she thought she was pathetic too. The maid clenched his hand, and Thansia said just using words wouldn't do, to follow her, and that it would be better not to scream. Thansia thought again, I had a dream again, and this one wasn't a simple dream either. The maid asked if she was up early, and Thansia said yeah. The maid asked what was with that expression, did she have a nightmare? Taryn, Thansia's personal maid, asked. Thansia said yes, kind of. Taryn told her to forget the nightmare quickly since the royal ball was today, and that it would surely lift her mood. Thansia said right, today is the day the female lead Noxia meets the male lead, Crown Prince Rohel, for the first time. She guessed nothing special would happen and thought she just had to quietly stay on the sidelines and return after admiring the ballroom with Askin. Thansia thought she didn't want to know how many hours it took to have a massage, apply makeup and dress fitting for this ball. She wanted to go home even though she was still at home. She called out to Askin, asking how long he had been waiting. Askin said he had arrived just a second ago. Thansia said really, look at you all dressed up, it looks good on you. Askin replied that he was just wearing what the lady had picked out for him. Thansia said the clothes were complimented by his handsome face glowing even brighter today, and asked if he didn't know he was handsome. Askin said recently you're 50. Thansia asked so what? Askin said 50 honest. Thansia said how cute, that's a compliment, right? Noxia shouted sis. Thansia asked Noxia if she had already been waiting for them. Noxia said yup, and asked if she would ride in the same carriage. Thansia said of course, why was she asking? Noxia said she didn't know, since Thansia usually wanted to ride separately, and she was happy they'd ride together. Thansia said there was no reason to go separately since they were sisters after all. The maid said that was the famous Breloff twins, the younger one the light and the older one the shadow. Thansia thought they were behaving exactly like in her dream and realized why Thansia didn't want to arrive with Noxia, as people whispered as soon as she walked past. It was annoying, so she thought she should leave Noxia's side so she could meet Rohel naturally. Thansia said see you later, Noxia. She wanted to look around with her servant. Noxia said okay, see you later. Thansia thought she wanted to have a drink and focus on her task, and since it was Askin's first time there, she decided to get the drinks, telling him to wait. Askin said yes, my lady. Women nearby whispered that her black hair looked like dirt, her plain face was unremarkable, her younger sister had awakened her ability but not her, and that her necklace was obviously copied from Noxia's. Askin said that was the only thing she could copy anyway, then thought they were orphans anyway, so nobody would know or care if they died during experiments. Thansia said listen carefully, if I catch you talking behind my back again, regardless of who you are, I'll rip apart that mouth of yours. Then she told Askin to go outside. Thansia thought she should do something about her temper, since she was no different from the original Thansia just then. Askin replied my lady, and when she answered yeah, he asked if she would really rip that woman's mouth apart. She coughed, and said she didn't think that was even possible. Askin asked if that meant it was a lie. Thansia said it was more of a warning, since some people don't understand kindness, and asked if he thought she'd really cut mouths apart. Askin said it was possible since it was her. Thansia replied that he really had a way of making people speechless, then asked how he liked the royal ball, though she had ruined the mood by dragging him outside. Askin said it didn't seem that special. Thansia asked, "That's it?" He said yes, and she admitted she thought he'd at least like it a little. It was surprising that the thansia who behaved viciously at the breloff mansion was ridiculed among other nobles. In a world where the strong were praised and the weak stepped on mercilessly, Thansia was weak, so when she stood up for herself, Askin said it felt as if she were scolding those who harassed him, and it was satisfying. Askin thought he might not like the place, and he didn't dislike the situation, but wondered what he liked about it. Suddenly, Thansia said Askin, and when he replied yes, she told him to shush for a minute. Rohel said he didn't want to play those childish games, he just wanted to make Arwen a powerful empire when he became emperor. Askin said he knew that very well, so he had to entertain the breloff family, and he had to do that, which was irritating. Thansia thought that in the short glimpse she got a minute ago, she saw a red-haired boy in formal clothing, which meant something. Askin asked if it would be beneficial to maintain a good relationship with Lady Breloff, His Majesty. She thought she knew it. The person she saw was indeed the male lead of the loved saintess, Rohel. Then the person next to him must be his loyal servant, Regald. Rohel said he had to entertain Lady Breloff, whom he didn't even like. Thansia said on her very own birthday ball. She thought it felt like a conversation she shouldn't be listening to, and if Rohel realized she heard it, their relationship would become very awkward. Thansia said to Askin that it was uncomfortable, and they should get out of there quietly. Rohel said all right. Noxia said, "Sis, what are you doing here?" Thansia asked Noxia what she was doing there. Askin and Rohel looked at them questioningly, and Rohel asked who was hiding there. Rohel said he didn't expect someone to be in a place so far away from the banquet hall. Thansia said, "The thing is," but Noxia greeted His Majesty, the Crown Prince, and introduced herself as Noxia of the Breloff family, and her sister, Thansia. She said she came out looking for her sister when she couldn't find her inside the banquet hall. Rohel said Breloff? And added that they might have overheard their misleading conversation just now, so he would like the chance to explain. Noxia said no, don't bother, she didn't want to inconvenience him in any way. She was also past the age to play childish games. Rohel said, "So you heard?" Noxia said if he was referring to himself saying he didn't want to play childish games, then yes, she heard it quite clearly. Thansia said, "And Noxia?" Noxia clenched Thansia's hand and said then they would excuse themselves. Rohel asked, "Happy birthday, Your Majesty." Thansia thought, damn it. Rohel thought that he was trying to set them up and enjoy his life, but things weren't going according to plan at all. Noxia said she never thought that the Crown Prince would say such disrespectful words so carelessly, and asked if Thansia didn't get hurt. Noxia said that, to be honest, earlier in the banquet hall, people came up to her saying hurtful things about Thansia. While she did warn them, it seemed like others said bad things too, seeing how Thansia angrily broke a glass and left the hall. Thansia asked if Noxia followed her because she was worried. She thought that was why Noxia behaved like that towards Rohel. She was grateful that Noxia was worried about her, but rather than being hurt by those words, she was worried about her life right now. She couldn't let the relationship between Noxia and the Crown Prince remain this way. Thansia said Noxia, she thought she had misunderstood something. Noxia asked if she did. Thansia said she didn't know how much of that conversation Noxia heard, but the Crown Prince was envisioning far ahead into the future. For Arwen to become a strong empire, the royal family and the nobles must work together. However, even when it's a necessary cooperation, not everyone will like each other instantly. Noxia said, but it's the truth that he talked about them disdainfully. Thansia replied that she shouldn't judge him without knowing the full story. The Crown Prince was someone with great ambitions, after all. Noxia replied, ambitions? Yes, she must have heard about it too, right? Rohel said His Majesty was a prodigy who started learning swordsmanship at the age of 5. Noxia said, and he was an amazing strategist who hadn't lost a single battle. Yeah, and that wasn't all. With eyes full of class and grace, and lips as red as roses, Rohel asked if countless young ladies fell for him the moment their eyes met. Noxia replied she did hear those rumors, but Rohel said then she must know what a promising individual he was. From intelligence, talent, and looks, he was someone far from lacking. Thansia said it was only fitting for such a perfect person to have great ambitions. Noxia asked her sister if she liked the crown prince. Thansia shouted no, she didn't. Thansia said she just didn't want them to misunderstand each other. She told Noxia to at least give him the chance to explain himself. Noxia said all right, if that's what she wanted. Thansia said yes, thank you, let's go up to him now, and Askin said there you are, Lady breloff. Noxia asked Lady Tara what she was doing there. The girl said oh my, did she forget already? She had promised to show them her ability to control water, and many people were waiting for her. Thansia thought no. After hearing Lady Tara's words, she suddenly remembered an incident from the novel. In fact, there was another reason why Rohel and Noxia became interested in each other. And in the middle of that incident was the sub-villainess, Rihanna Krisha. In order to embarrass Noxia in front of everyone, Rihanna set off a party popper when Noxia was demonstrating her ability. Just as she planned, Noxia got frightened because of the loud noise from the party popper and lost control of the water, spraying it all over the room. The person who shielded Noxia from getting drenched was none other than Rohel. Thansia thought she was planning to enjoy this romantic scene from a distance, but as of now, things might progress differently than in the novel. Thansia asked Noxia how about talking to the crown prince before she returned to the banquet hall. Noxia asked if she had to, saying people were already waiting for her. The girl said the crown prince was coming to the banquet hall anyway, so she could talk to him there. Noxia said she'd talk to His Majesty as she met him in the banquet hall. Thansia said but, alright, Noxia, she should go ahead and she'd follow in a bit. Noxia said sure, see you later. Thansia told Askin to go find Lady Krisha in the banquet hall quickly and tell her that she wanted to speak with her. Since Rihanna hated Noxia as much as she did, they understood each other and became friends thanks to their similarities. Right now, Rihanna was most likely waiting for the right time to signal her servants to set off the party popper. Their priority for now was to divert her attention, and buy some time. Thansia said the lady who visited them a few times at their mansion. He remembered her, right? Askin said he did. Thansia asked if possible, to keep her distracted so she didn't have time to do anything else. Askin replied yes, my lady. Thansia said Askin, she would be entrusting him with this. Askin replied he'd do his best. Thansia thought her task now was to find Rohel and try to engage him in a conversation with Noxia. She hoped everything worked out as planned. However, life never goes the way anyone wants it to. Thansia said they fucked up a little while ago. Thansia thinks where did Rohel go? According to the novel, he was nearby when Noxia showcased her ability, so he should be somewhere around here. Why is he over there? Thansia thinks I knew it. The story has changed from its original flow. Rohel asked Your Majesty. HM? You're the lady I saw in the garden earlier, Thansia asked. I'm the oldest daughter of the Breloff family, Thansia. Rohel asked you look like you were looking for me urgently? Did something happen? Thansia said I just wanted to talk with you since there seemed to be a misunderstanding earlier. Rohel said that's a relief then. I thought that I'd never be able to explain myself. Your Majesty, my sister was also present earlier. I think it's better if all three of us talk about it together. Thansia asked that's fine too? Nice, we arrived on time. Thansia thinks it seems like Askin is keeping Rihanna distracted as planned. If things continue like this, Noxia won't embarrass herself in front of everyone. Moreover, Rohel seems interested in Noxia's ability, so we should be able to make up, huh? Thansia thinks that's one of Rihanna's servants. Why is he holding a party popper? Thansia said to Rohel looks like Noxia was demonstrating her ability. Rohel asked I don't mind waiting a bit. I'm rather interested in her demonstration myself. Rohel said then shall we go and watch from a closer position? Thansia said sure, let's do that. Thansia thinks I don't have a good feeling about this. I should ensure that Rohel is close to Noxia just in case. He's going to set off the party popper right now. Rihanna isn't even here, so why? No, more importantly, Rohel is too far away from Noxia. Thansia said Your Majesty this way? Let's go closer. Rohel said thank you. Thansia thinks if I want to create a scenario where Rohel protects Noxia from the water, he has to be closer to her. Just a bit closer, one more step. Noxia said Kia. Thansia thinks and no, this way, Noxia will. Rohel looked at her questioningly. She thinks everything would have been in vain. Present. Thansia said, why, Your Majesty? Aye, she thinks I messed up. My hand acted on its own because I was so shocked. Rohel said, don't tell me, you'll call this an accident. Thansia said, I apologize, the sound of the party popper really surprised me. She gave in and said it's my fault? I'm so sorry. I really don't have the right to say anything else. Here, at least take this. Rohel said, are you expecting me to believe you right now? Noxia said. Are you saying that this happened on purpose? Rohel said, then, are you going to deny that it was on purpose? One person pushed me, and the other splashed water onto me. Maybe it's because you're twins, but your teamwork is impeccable. Noxia said you shouldn't slander people without any evidence of their true intentions. Rohel said I was the victim. I don't see why I'd need any evidence. Thansia said, hold on. I think there's a misunderstanding here. Rohel and Noxia said, I don't think you have the right to butt in. Stay out of this, sis. Thansia thinks, the plan was to make their first meeting as perfect as possible. What a complete failure. By the way, where's Askin right now? Neither Rihanna nor Askin are in the banquet hall, so why did that servant set off the party popper? Thansia said, excuse me, have you seen my servant? Charissa said, I'm not sure. Thansia asked, what about Lady Krisha then? Charissa said, I haven't seen her either. Thansia said, has there perhaps been some kind of commotion near the banquet hall? Charissa said, If it's a commotion, then, Thansia asked Askin? Askin said, you're here? She replied, what are you doing here? Askin shouted, hey! Open the door this instant. I'll kill you once I get out of here. Thansia said, don't tell me, is Lady Krisha in there? Charissa said, yes. Thansia said, did you trap her in there? Askin said, you told me to ensure that she's kept away by any means. Thansia said that. I did say that, but how did you lure her in there? Askin said, I told her that Lady Thansia was waiting there. Smart move. And you've been standing guard in front of the door? Askin said, yes. Thansia said, the whole time? You told me to keep her away for as long as possible, but you didn't specify for how long exactly. A voice came, shouting, open the door. Askin said, furthermore, as you can see, I don't think I can deal with the consequences on my own, so I waited for you to come. Did I do something wrong? Thansia said, no, you did great. She smiled and said, I'm rather surprised because you managed to pull it off perfectly. It was the first time someone had asked for my favor. Askin said, looks like she has started throwing around objects. I don't think we can keep her in there any longer. Thansia said, Rihanna, it's me. Rihanna said, Thansia? Thansia said, yes, I'll be coming in right now. Rihanna said, yes, I'll be coming in right now. Rihanna Krisha, sub-villainess. Thansia said, hold on, Rihanna. Don't blame my servant. I ordered him to do so, after all. Rihanna said, what? Why would you? Thansia said, I just wanted to prank you, but I arrived here a bit later than planned. Rihanna asked, nonsense. You already knew what I had prepared for today, Thansia. Are you expecting me to believe you right now?